day and welcome. Today we will look at the theory of production. Now there's one core concept that you need to keep in mind, and that is if you are working with firms in the formal sectors like companies and BKs or any other formal type of firm or business, or you are working with the informal sector. Doesn't matter if you're working in the formal sector or in the informal sector, those companies and people have one goal in mind, and that is to generate profit. And not just to generate profit, but to make maximum profit. Now, this is what we're going to look at in this chapter regarding the theory of production. It's taking into account all the different costs firms have. Where can they minimize cost to maximize output and profit? So throughout the previous chapter with utility, when we had introduced total utility, marginal utility, we are introducing now the same type of concepts with the same recipe. So constantly throughout the previous work and the work to come, you are introduced to three concepts. You have total, you have average, and you have marginal. With regards to total, you have total product, total revenue, total cost, total variable cost, and total fixed cost, where total revenue is determined by taking price times quantity. The rest we will use an example of. Average, you have average product, average revenue, average cost, average variable cost, average fixed cost. With marginal, you have marginal product, you have marginal revenue, and you have marginal cost. Now, what you need to remember is that all these concepts, different concepts and costs, goes together. The one is dependent on the other. Total product and average product goes together. Total revenue and average revenue goes together. Total cost and average cost goes together. Total variable cost and average variable cost goes together. And total fixed cost and average fixed cost goes together. Now, what does that mean? It means that if you have one of these, let's say you have total revenue, then you can calculate average revenue. If you have average fixed cost, then you can calculate total fixed cost. So if you have one of the pairs, you can calculate the other. So if you have a total and you want to calculate an average, so I gave you one of the totals and you want to calculate that average, what do? You divide by quantity. If you have an average and you want to calculate the total, you multiply by quantity. So if you have total product and you want to calculate average product, you divide by quantity. If you have average variable cost and you want to calculate total variable cost, you multiply by quantity. With regards to marginal product, marginal revenue, and marginal cost, remember that is the additional. So the additional product that you produce, that is the marginal product. Marginal revenue is the additional income that you receive from the additional amount of output that you produced. Marginal cost is the additional cost that is involved in producing the additional unit. marginal additional. So marginal product is the change in total product divided by the change in N. N is something like labor. Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. And marginal cost is the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So these are all formulas that you need in order to do the table that we're going to do in the next video. But just the last note, one additional thing that you can do to calculate total cost and average cost is total cost is the sum of variable cost and fixed cost. Average cost is the sum of your variable costs and your fixed cost. So it will make sense for you to familiarize yourself with all these formulas in order to do the calculation of the table that we're going to do in the next video.